A mysterious suitcase in the middle of the forest. It's moving, making sounds. The man who finds it hesitates. Should he get closer? He calls the police. Together they open it, carefully, and then screams. Not from fear, from shock. Inside, puppies. Someone left them there, in a suitcase, to die. But this is where the real story begins. A story of rescue, love, and a happy ending no one expected. It was an ordinary Saturday morning when Jake decided to go for his usual jog through the dense forest near his hometown in Oregon. The air was crisp, the birds were singing, and everything seemed perfectly normal. But as he rounded a familiar bend in the trail, something caught his eye. There, just off the path, partially hidden by fallen leaves, was an old brown suitcase. At first, Jake thought nothing of it. People dumped trash in the woods all the time, unfortunately. But then he heard it, a faint scratching sound, followed by what sounded like whimpering. Jake froze. His heart started racing. The suitcase was moving. Not much, just slight tremors, but it was definitely moving. He took a step closer, and the sounds grew louder. Something was alive inside that suitcase. His mind raced through possibilities. Was it an animal? A prank? Something dangerous? Every instinct told him to be careful, but he couldn't just walk away. Whatever was in there needed help. He pulled out his phone and dialed 911. His hands were shaking as he explained the situation to the dispatcher. There's a suitcase in the forest, and something's moving inside it. I think there might be an animal trapped. The dispatcher told him to stay where he was and not to open it alone. Help was on the way. 20 minutes felt like an eternity. Jake stood there, watching the suitcase, listening to the desperate sounds coming from within. He talked to it softly, hoping that whatever was inside could somehow sense that help was coming. When the police finally arrived, along with an animal control officer, they approached the suitcase with extreme caution. Officer Martinez knelt beside the suitcase, examining it carefully. "Let's see what we've got here," he said, his voice steady but tense. He slowly unzipped the suitcase, and what they saw next made everyone gasp. Inside were 5 tiny puppies, no more than a few weeks old, huddled together in the darkness. They were weak, dehydrated, and terrified. But they were alive. Jake felt his eyes well up with tears. Who could do something like this? Who could abandon helpless puppies in a suitcase in the middle of the forest, leaving them to die? The animal control officer immediately began checking the puppies' vital signs. They were in bad shape, but they had been found just in time. Another day, maybe even another few hours, and it would have been too late. The puppies were rushed to the nearest veterinary clinic. Dr. Sarah Chen, the veterinarian on duty, took one look at them and knew they needed immediate care. They were severely malnourished, covered in fleas, and showing signs of hypothermia. She and her team worked tirelessly, providing fluids, warmth, and medical treatment. It was touch and go for the first 24 hours, but these little fighters refused to give up. Meanwhile, Jake couldn't stop thinking about the puppies. He visited the clinic every day, bringing supplies and asking about their progress. The staff nicknamed them the Suitcase 5: Hope, Lucky, Brave, Chance, and Miracle. Each name represented their incredible survival story. As the puppies grew stronger, the police launched an investigation. They examined the suitcase for any clues about who might have abandoned them. Security cameras in the area were checked, and witnesses were interviewed. The community was outraged. Local news picked up the story, and it quickly went viral. People from all over the country were following the puppy's recovery and demanding justice. Then, a breakthrough came. A woman recognized the suitcase from the news coverage. It had belonged to her neighbor, someone she'd always had concerns about. She'd seen him with several dogs over the years, but they always seemed to disappear. The police obtained a warrant and discovered a horrifying puppy mill operation. The man had been breeding dogs in terrible conditions, and when the puppies didn't sell or became too much trouble, he simply got rid of them. He was arrested and charged with animal cruelty. The evidence was overwhelming. Not only had he abandoned the Suitcase 5, but investigators found evidence of other animals he'd disposed of in similar ways. The community rallied together, ensuring he faced the maximum penalties under the law. It was a small victory for animal welfare, but an important one. Back at the clinic, the puppies were thriving. Their transformation was nothing short of miraculous. From weak, terrified creatures, barely clinging to life, they'd become playful, energetic bundles of joy. Dr. Chen said it was one of the most remarkable recoveries she'd ever witnessed. Their resilience was a testament to the will to survive. Jake had made a decision. He was going to adopt one of the puppies. He chose Hope, the smallest of the litter, who had stolen his heart from the moment he'd seen her in that suitcase. The other 4 puppies were adopted by carefully screened families, each one going to a loving home where they'd never know suffering again. The story of the Suitcase 5 became a powerful reminder of both the cruelty that exists in the world and the compassion that can overcome it. Jake's decision to investigate that moving suitcase, to call for help instead of walking away, saved 5 innocent lives. The veterinary team's dedication gave them a second chance, and the community's outrage ensured that justice was served. Today, Hope is a healthy, happy dog who goes jogging with Jake every morning through that same forest. Sometimes they pass the spot where the suitcase was found, and Jake always pauses for a moment, grateful that he listened to his instincts that day. The other 4 puppies are thriving in their new homes, bringing joy to their families every single day. This story shows us that one person can make a difference. One decision to care, to act, to help, it can change everything. Those puppies were left to die, discarded like trash. But because one man refused to look away, they got the happy ending they deserved. And the person responsible faced consequences for his cruelty. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you suspect an animal is in danger, don't hesitate. Call for help. Be that person who makes a difference. Because every life matters. And sometimes, all it takes is one caring individual to turn a tragedy into a triumph. What an incredible story of survival and compassion. Have you ever rescued an animal? What would you do if you found a moving suitcase in the forest? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest miracles. Thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next video.